R-A-S-S-L-I-N, that's wrestling. R-A-S-S-L-I-N,
It's me.
wrestling.
It's me. It's that N to the T to the G. Rolling once again with that BT double B. This is wrestling. You got Big Trouble Ben Bishop here taking up the whole screen. And you got me. It's Nikki the Good again. Hey, guys, how's it going? We got a great show for you today. All right. And I actually think, Ben, I got some news here, though. I got some news. I'm thinking about rebranding. I'm going to rebrand the show. What do you think about calling it Big Wrestling?
Big wrestling. I mean, you know how I feel about the big guys. You know that.
Yep.
You know, I feel about that word big. That's a great adjective. That's me in a nutshell. You don't really got to know much more about me. Why not?
If Vinnie Mac is throwing B in front of the big in front of everything, I think that's where we go with. The man's been around for like 1,000 years. He's successful as hell. I know people hate him, but if you, it's just a seasoned tactic. You put big in front of something and it immediately just explodes. Like big Bronson Reed now, right? Is that his?
I think so. Yeah.
Probably going to be heavyweight champion or probably dethrone Roman. But we have the card here and we're going to kick it off. So Ben, you actually, Big Trouble, you brought the heat this week with Takey 2 Hotty. You kicked off the question. So I'll read it here. You wanted to know what are some pro wrestling sayings that are said too much or that you're getting sick of. And as usual, hot tag not needed because you're in first. Go. What do you got, Big Trouble?
All right. So it looked like, when everybody was going over, when I posted this, it seemed like the most popular answer is the what chant, right? The what chant, it was great for its time. Austin got it over. It was cool. It was fun. But it's like 20 years later, there's no reason to continue this what chant. It takes over segments. And I know fans want to be involved. It's interactive. That's why fans go to pro wrestling shows. That's why they want to be there. That's why they pay the money. And that's all well and good. But it's almost like you just got that guy in the audience, the guy or girl that just wants to start the chant just to be a dick for no reason.
Yeah.
And it takes over. And it's just, what's the point? There's no point behind it. That's got to be number one. That got the most traction. People were saying the what chant. I totally agree. But there's a few others I can't stand. I'm going to run through them really quick.
Yeah, run them.
Nick, do tell me your top one first before I do this.
I'll give you one real quick, and then we'll kick it back to you. So Bobby Petrino's neck brace at Treat Wade, he said brother. And I think he was trying to say something that he probably listened to the last episode. Well, listen, brother, we ain't stopping because brother is good vibes.
It's very good vibes. No, the brother ain't stopping
in the world of professional wrestling. When you you run into a wrestling fan on the street, you say, you see someone rocking a shirt, potentially a wrestling shirt. If you're one of like the 10 people that bought them and you see him, you give him the little head nod and you go, "Good, nice shirt, brother." They know exactly where that comes from. It comes from this man back behind me. If you can see him on the screen, the Hulkster. We'll get into him later.
Legend,
so Ben,
the icon.
Kicking it back to you. Go.
Yeah, no, other ones that I personally cannot stand. Fight Forever. Fight Forever is one. Someone needs to win. I don't know why you'd want the people to fight forever. Don't you want the person that you like to win? Fight Forever makes no sense. This is awesome. Very oversaturated. Honestly, pretty untrue for 90% of the matches that This Is Awesome is chanted at. And another one, a wrestler put on there, Philly Mike Swanson out of as you guessed it, the Philadelphia area. People that just say wrestling when there's like a very simple chain sequence that happens. This is about as funny as like the guy who says like, "Hey, see you next year on December 31st." That's what I equate that to. It's not funny. It's not clever. You're not getting anything out of it. So Philly Mike, I appreciate you saying that one because I forgot about that one. That does grind my gears a bit.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, like Fight Forever, I'm 38-year-old father of 2, not trying to fight forever, man. Need you to get me out of there. Trying to go to bed at some point. But I mean, listen, the funny thing about this segment and why we liked this question is because crowd participation makes everything better. But if you look at the they had the show in Puerto Rico, like that type of crowd participation, that's the UK, that's the type. But when you have like the what chant, it's like there's not many wrestlers that can stand in that ring and deal with it. Like the Uso, like Jay had to deal with it this past week on SmackDown, and he did a great job. But dude, Uso's fire on the mic. Wouldn't you just want to let him do his promo? Like, let him do it, man. Let him go out there and just let him do it. There's one that I actually like because I always get a kick out of it. And this guy Grump, so maybe he's a grumpy guy. He's got a cool. His name's Grump Handle Slam. That's his handle. He said, but the fact of the matter is, I love because it's such a crutch in promos. Like, but the fact of the matter is this. Like, I actually love that because it just, I don't know, for some reason that's like a nostalgia thing for me. If you check the background I got here, I'm a big guy on nostalgia. And whenever I hear that line, it's just, if you're growing up and you want to be a pro wrestler, or you're a fan and you're cutting a promo in your basement and your backyard fed. But the fact of the matter is something that, as a matter of fact, you're going to say, because it's just, the fact of the matter could be anything. Like, no matter what, it just always works, and I don't hate it. It gets my heartstrings going. Are there any that you like? I
agree. Well, there's some there are some of those crutches. You know, it was like, let me tell you something, brother. That's always one. Of course, shout out to the Hulkster. Without a shadow of a doubt, is one that's said a lot as well. It can be a crutch. You know, if you want some, come get some. These are all ones that I have used, and I've said it in promos, and I'd be like, damn, did I just say that?
I would say The Rock, without a shadow of a doubt, when he would like that, but when he said it, like, it's not just saying the words. It's like,
no.
When he said it, you were like, okay, that's The Rock. Like, that is The Rock saying it to me, to my face. And like, he, like his eyes, like, I mean, the guy obviously is one of the greatest on the mic of all time. So it's different, but but yeah, so I think obviously the what is the one. This is awesome. I think's got to go, because the more you say it out there, the less it means, right?
Exactly.
That you got to hold these things for when they actually happen. Like, at this point, we always talk about just oversaturation of just the moves, like these big time moves. You see them every single week. How awesome is it if every week you're seeing, and I always bring up the same thing, but like when you see the Canadian Destroyer off the top of a ladder, a few times a month, it's like, listen, is it really that awesome? Because they pretty much do it every single week.
The smallest moves are the ones that can get reactions, and I'll put myself over here for a match I had this past weekend.
That is our show.
Oh, we do. It's all we do.
Putting ourselves over, brother.
That's it. Get our shit in. No, it's match over the weekend. No big deal. Windy City Professional Wrestling Heavyweight Champ won that this past weekend. Haters are going to be furious. But I had a match. I got a Damian Fenrir he's out of Miami. He actually goes to Gangrel's school. And the whole match we were teasing that he was going to body slam me. Body slam. All of a sudden, gets the power of the card, picks me up 450 pounds in the Silver Dome, brother. Drops me down. Reacts the most to that. A body slam. He also did a dive over the top rope, but guess what they reacted the most to?
Right.
Body slam.
I remember watching. I recently saw Stevie Richards. He was doing kind of like a breakdown of Will Ospreay's elbow, like the way he throws like that, like launching elbow into. He did it into Omega, and I will say, like, it looks incredible when Ospreay does that jump. It like that is as close to like realistic. Like it's fast. It's violent. But the one thing he called out is that he's like, what's funny is Jericho's Judas effect doesn't look as good, but Jericho has conditioned the audience to think when he hits that it is over.
Yeah. And
so it doesn't even matter if like he's 50 something years old, if he hits it perfectly. The fact is Jericho has told you, and he's conditioned the audience. Like, and like you said, with the body slam, like he builds up to it. Like, like you're building up to moves, like the crescendo at the end, he hits you with that and it's a wrap. It's over. Yeah, so I totally agree. Like, make things mean something again. The less we react to everything, the more when we do react and it's authentic and, it's organic. I think that's what brings out the vibes in the Puerto Rico show, in the UK show. And like, you look online after those shows there, everyone's like, I love wrestling. This is the best place in the world. And it's because the crowds, they were part of the show. They didn't take it over. They just, they elevated what was in the ring. Right. It's like the 12th man with the Seattle Seahawks, you're elevating what's going on. But yeah, so Ben, I really like that one. That was nice little takey to Hotty there. There's a lot of takes this week, which we're going to save for later in the show, probably when we get to the actually over segment. But something that we got to, if you saw the wrestling Twitter account and the Barstool Twitter account earlier this week, you saw that the big guy, Dave Portnoy, reacted to a pro wrestling move. And it was some guy jumping off the top of an armory, a warehouse, whatever it may be, and he completely missed his target. He smashed his elbow into the ground. Your typical like indie spot, like everyone's just standing around nowhere to go. But what Dave pointed out of everything that was going on was the man on the table. And this is something I want to get into doing here on Wrestling. We hunted down the man on the table because we want to know what it was like to be on that table, looking at this dude not coming down on you, but in fact going over you and just essentially smashing his entire body into the concrete. His name is Cole Radrick. He goes by the Ratty Daddy, and he also has probably one of the greatest monikers since Big Trouble in the history of professional wrestling. He calls himself the King of Wreck Shit. The King of Wreck Shit
Mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
That's an incredible name.
I love cheesy little monikers, as you know.
Cheesy little monikers, but he is the King of Wreck Shit Mountain, and he's here on Wrestling. I'm going to kick it to the interview right now. All right, special guest on Wrestling right now. You may have seen him because on the Wrestling account the other day, we put out a clip of some dude jumping off the top of an armory. It was a warehouse, a gymnasium. I don't know what it was, but then our main account, the Barstool main account of Twitter, picked it up, and this clip went nuts. Dude jumps from the top of this thing, completely misses his target, and must have shattered every bone in his entire body. Well, he wasn't the only guy people were talking about, though. All right. He wasn't the only guy. There was a guy on the table. Okay. And that guy on the table is here right now. We have him on Wrestling. It's Cole Radrick, who is also the Ratty Daddy and, correct me if I'm wrong, the King of Wreck Shit Mountain. Is that correct, Cole?
Nailed it, my man. You nailed it. How are we doing, pal? You got him.
We're good, man. I mean, but how are you? First of all, I don't even know when that clip was, but you were on the table, so I assume you're okay. But what's going on?
Man, honestly, both of us are actually doing okay. Guy that jumped and missed me, doing pretty fine nowadays. Talked to him recently. That clip is all the way back in 2017. And here we are 6 years later, still getting 2 million plus views on a clip that lasted, 30 seconds. That's going to follow me around till the day I die.
Well, don't shortchange yourself. That's 3.7.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you got, Ben? 3.7 milli.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, that's something that now you're gonna see all the time. I mean, like Janela's clip with Zandig coming off the warehouse onto to everything in existence. So now, Cole, I mean, you got something that's gonna live in indie wrestling infamy.
Yeah, it was the fact that it just catches on like continuously to like years later. It was like, my buddy Mose, he hit me up. He goes, dude, Dave Portnoy just retweeted your clip. And I was like, what are you talking about? He sends me the link. And I'm like, what? And it's like you said, man, you got the Janela, you have the Merrick Brave doing the Shooting Star Press. You have all these infamous clips that happened. And now I got one.
But this clip in particular, like Janela at least went through a bunch of stuff and like kind of hit his target. This one is something like no one's really like seen before. Like we're talking like he did like a Shane McMahon WrestleMania 32, but like no crash pads. There's no crash pads there, brother. That's straight up concrete. And what Dave said is he actually said absolutely loved the guy on the table committing to the bit. So again, it wasn't just about the dude that jumped off and probably shattered like his elbow. First of all, great form. He still landed the elbow just on the concrete.
Like textbook form.
But you're the guy that Dave called out. So I want to walk through this. Okay. So like we see these clips all the time on the internet, right? And wrestling is a protected industry still, despite how media is, right? I'm a fan. I don't know about the inner workings, but if you can, if you're willing, just walk us through like that actual moment, like the lead up. Did you discuss the spot? And then your POV just laying there.
Absolutely. So to lead into it, it was a blow off to a format series. Like a whole bunch of stuff happened to where this guy was kind of like getting moved on from the company. Not his fault. Had 3 really good matches leading up to this, but this is now a loser leaves town match. So no matter what, I have to win. He has to lose. He's in the mindset of like, I don't know what other companies I'm going to wrestle for coming up. And we get to the venue that day, and he's like, "Hey, I kind of want to jump off the wall and do this elbow drop on you." And if you look at the clip, there's like a black section of the wall, and then there's that next level that he goes to. And then one of our first matches, he went off the black section of the wall, and I was like, "All right, like that's cool. Like I've seen you make the jump before, perfectly fine." He points out the fact he goes, "No, no, no, I want to go up there." Which is the second level, which is probably like a good 15 to 18-foot drop. And this guy Marcus Everett, I want to give him credit because he was a really talented wrestler when he was doing his stuff, but he had a tendency to mess up on like dives, whether it be a suicide, a homicide dive. There was just things that whether it be pressure moments or something going on that he would mess up. So when he suggested this to me, I go, "Hey man, this is probably not going to work out. Like I think if we go off the lower level, it's still going to be a cool clip. It'll still be cool. The chances for success are a lot better." He's like, "Nah, man, I know I can hit this. Whatever, it's safe. Cool, let's do it." I'm like, "All right, I'm not going to tell this man no, he can't do something on the last show." So we get the table before this is all before this match. We get the table, and I'm like, "Where the door?" I was like, "Oh, actually, it was a table." I was like, "The table, where you want it at?" "Right here." I said, "Okay." So I'm like, "Listen, I'm going to lay on the farthest edge of this table. I'm going to give you all this space to land on. Fuck actually landing on me. Just drape an arm over. We'll go through the table together. Just land on the table." Fast forward through the match, brawling, whatever. He hits me with a chair, hits me with a ladder that puts me on the table down. Everyone's like, "You laid on the table for 30 seconds, like 2 minutes." It was like 15 seconds it took for him to climb and shimmy over. But he also like hit me in the head a lot. So whatever. And I'm laying there and I'm seeing him shimmy over. And like, I don't ever want to wish bad ill on anything, but I was like, this is not going to work. Like, I already knew, like, I was laying on the table. I was like, something's going to go wrong. Like, I can already feel it. And the last thing I remember telling him before we do this spot is like, "Hey, when New Jack used to do all these really big, like, balcony dives, he just fell. He rarely ever jumped unless the table was super far out. Most times he just fell." So I just remember looking at him and be like, "When you do this, just fall. Don't
It's a
jump."
fall. It's a fall, not like a leap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what it should
And like
be.
we positioned
gets
the
to-
table, So like if you see him shimmy over, you can see me like edge myself all the way to the end of this table. And you can see me with my right arm. I'm like pointing at how much free space he has. I'm like, "Just land here. Like, come on, come on, come on." He gets over. And like the moment I knew like this was going wrong is he does like a little hesitation. And like I think he was like preparing himself to fall. And he's like, "Oh, I should jump." He does a hesitation and he jumps. People bring up the fact that I bring up my knees, right? So I was like bracing myself or whatever for the impact. When I did that, he was already past me. I was reacting to the fact that this man was about to just fall. You know what I mean?
As soon as he leaped, just from like the viewer now, like on Twitter,
Yeah.
at what point did you know that he's over me? Like not when you saw him, like as soon as he drops off, do you know it's bad?
The moment the man began to fall, he was already over top of me. And he jumped. So his energy is going to go past me now. So he like before he like begins to actually fall, he's gone. And I'm like, "Oh shit,"
Did you see him or did you turn?
Oh, I saw it. Like I
You
was
saw
like
it.
this, yeah. Because there's like I have no time to react. He said he clips my elbow in it. I don't remember him clipping my elbow, but he says that's what broke some of his momentum. All I just remember was hitting it and hearing the noise that it made was something like even the video will never do it justice. Like the splat it made was
Now-
like
Yeah, now Ben, you're 6'12". Like Ben's a legit 6'12". Like seriously, guys out there, if you're not familiar with Big Trouble, he's that big. Now you're a big
Can't
dude.
see it. Yeah. Not just super handsome.
You're
I'm
not
also super
someone
tall,
who's going to
just
be
someone-
doing these moves, right? Like,
No.
what's your so what?
No, I'll never
what's
do
your
that.
take
No,
on
never
this
in a
as a
million
big
years.
man? Like,
well, again, to each their own. And just because I'm saying like I would never do something like this doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. I think that I'm keeping 2 feet planted on the ground at all times. I'm not going up to the rafters. I'm already at the goddamn rafters, so I don't need to go up. I'm not going all the way. I'm not going all the way up there. But I mean, the guys that do it, I respect them. Obviously, respect a New Jack. I respect a guy like Janela. Guys who do it and want to do that. Hey, to each their own. Their own. But goddamn, Willie, I will never.
Now,
ever
Cole, is this where you became
like
the king of Wreck Shit Mountain?
I mean, I think it's just kind of built up over time. Like, Ben wants to keep 2 feet on the ground. I'm never scared to do something a little bit wild or crazy because at the end of the day, man, the longevity of a wrestler's never going to be known. So there's going to be a time where I want to be able to show my kids, like, your dad was a freaking badass, like, and
here's the thing is that, like, sorry, Cole, but here's the thing, Nick, is that, like, it's working for Cole. It works for him. He's in the honestly, and this is what I believe. He's one of the mainstays in the third biggest promotion in the country right now.
Appreciate that.
GCW.
Shout out.
So yeah, I mean it's but you're doing your thing. So hey, it works for you. Like I said, it doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. There's nothing. It's just your style. You enjoy doing that, and it works. And you're one of the guys that's getting over for doing something like this, because there are guys that do it and are getting over. But a guy like you are. So hey.
Man, to me, it's just about having fun with it, And it's like I looked at guys like Jeff Hardy back in the day, guys like Sabu and RVD, guys that like pushed the envelope and did stuff a little bit hardcore. And at the end of the day, I want to do something where if somebody watches me for one time and they can remember something cool I did, sick. But I will say, to your benefit, there's no way you would have convinced me to do that wall jump. There's not there's not amount of money. There's not, because the things I'm willing to do is I will look at it and be like, can I hit this every time? And can I hit this safely without like damaging myself for the long term? And it's like, you look at death matches and stuff, and I feel like the ones I do are mild mannered compared to death matches, everywhere. Like I have never done anything with razors or things that like other these real badass
pizza cutters.
No, I got pizza cutters.
You got the pizza cutter?
Yeah, I got.
You do the gut? Do you do the gusset?
Gusset in Japan.
What's a gusset for those who don't know? Those marks like me.
The gussets. So if you go into like a barn or something where there's like wood in the ceiling, it's what connects the wood together. And it's about 50. It's like a little plate. It's like a license plate size, and there's probably 50 to 100 like metal prongs that stick up. They're about this big, and they leave instantaneous scars, and they suck. And I've only done them once in Japan, and I'll hopefully never do them again.
I want to ask about
my limits. I know my limits. Like I want to be a dog, but I know there's some real ones out there.
Right.
I want to touch upon something that Dave said in his tweet. So he said committing to the bit. To me, that meant like you were still selling after he went over you, right? Like
what am I supposed to do? You want to lay on the table forever while this guy's just like splattered on the ground?
What was going through? What exactly was like going through your head as soon as you hear that sound? Like,
he's dead. There's nothing else.
But you still sold it. Like even if he was dead, you're like, I gotta sell this.
Do you want me to lay on the table forever? I literally roll off the table. Right? I roll off the table. I'm like, this man's dead. Let's go home. Like, get me out of here.
Let's go home.
Like, it ain't worth it. I'm not having fun anymore. Like,
did the match and so the match ended?
No,
he's dead. He's dead.
No. So I sell off, roll off the table, commit to the bit. Shout out, Dave. Hey, if you ever want to try to recreate it, I'll lay on a table for you. Okay. But listen, it's not easy, guys. Then it ain't easy. But when I saw that man hit that ground, and I was like, I'm getting off this table. I was laying there, and like John Wayne Murdoch, shout out SPO, RIP, the referee in the clip, great fucking dude. He goes over and checks on Marcus, and he comes to me and I'm like, yo, like, what's broken on him? Is he okay? Is he dead? He goes, hey man, he's fine. What? Yeah, he has a small cut on his elbow. He said, like, roll him in and like, let's keep going. And I was like, no, like, what are you talking about? Like, there's nothing that's going to beat that. Like, what do you mean? The man had a small cut on his elbow. It was about like an inch, right? And apparently, like, they said they could see bone, which is fucking gross. Like, if I would have known that, like, I would have not done anything more. So, what people don't realize is the match keeps going for like maybe a minute longer. We get that same table in there and we toss it in the ring. And we do a bit where I give him a second rope tombstone off the rope through the table, right? But the setup for this spot, I'm on the turnbuckle and he gets a chair and he throws it at me. And I remember him like looking at it and flipping it and then throwing at me. And I was like, why did he do that? He puts the chair on the table, and you're going to laugh about this. Guess what is glued onto that chair? Gusset plates.
What a setup.
Brother, you almost died already. And you know, like, this next bit is me driving your head onto this chair through this table. So, like, I get him set up, and I'm, like, trying to protect his head as much as I can. And I'm like, how am I going to land on this chair without honestly hurting me or him? And we do the tombstone, and we land on the table, and the table does not break.
It's a strong gimmick, brother.
It was like the ultimate. It was the ultimate
Mercy.
way to say, like, go to hell at the end of the match. Like, everything went wrong, and it was just like, there's a little bit more for you.
Well, it sounds like you went to hell and back, but you're still here, which is awesome. So,
Unfortunately,
again, so listen, man, thanks for coming on and just walking us through here, because the notifications have not stopped. They're still going. And I wouldn't be surprised that in another few years, the clip is just going to resurface. But I want to make sure we have a segment on our show called Get Your Shit In. Yeah, so I want to give you your chance to do that. Like, this is Plug Central, baby. So
Plug
if you got
Central,
a chance
baby.
to, yeah, if you got a chance to plug, and I just want to roll off your names one more time because they're pretty fun. So this right here, if you guys are watching, it's Cole Radrick. He is the Ratty Daddy, and he is the king of Wreck Shit Mountain. You have a sweet T-shirt. I saw a Ratty Daddy T-shirt. That's pretty sweet. But I'll let you. You also fought Sky Blue recently, which I saw. But I'll let plug away.
This comes out Friday. This comes out Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
All right. So actually, on Saturday, July 22nd, you can watch me wrestle at Black Label Pro, where I am the Black Label Pro Heavyweight Champion. You can check me out on Twitter at Cole Radrick, ColeRadrick. That's the same for Instagram. Check me out on Twitch. You can see the racing setup, twitch.tv, Ratty Daddy number forever. And shout out to you guys for having me on. It was really sick of you. Appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on. And listen, if you see a table in the near future, just fold that shit up and go home.
No. Throw some gussets on it. Throw gussets, light tubes, all that stuff. Just go.
Hey, whenever I see you, Ben, I'll make sure I got a table ready, and we can try to recreate this together, bro.
There you go. We just booked the match. So if you're a promoter out there, you want to make millions, there you go. We just booked the match for you. Anyway, thanks, Cole, for joining, and we'll see you around, man.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ratty Daddy, for joining wrestling and blessing us with that inside look into that viral moment. If you're a pro wrestler out there, and I'm not condoning it, I'm not telling you should go out there and try and do what that dude did. But if by chance you go viral, we'll put you over, man. You come see me, you come DM the wrestling account. We'll talk about it, but it's got to be viral. Don't be sending me no 1,000-view clips. All right. We're talking, this is a big time show now. Okay. We got the biggest podcaster in the world. Okay. Sitting to my side right now. All right. This is big time. See how big his hands are? Yeah. Anyway. So if you go viral, let me know. But with that said, we're going to head to our next segment. It's the That's not going to work for me, brother segment. It's the segment where we talk about things that just would not work for the Hulkster. Big trouble.
Yep.
Tagging you in.
All right. So what don't work for me, brother, and it definitely doesn't work for the guy I'm about to talk about. We've seen this on Twitter. We've seen it on social media the last few years. The big guy, Ryback, running his mouth a lot, just calling everyone out, saying WWE's suppressing his Twitter, this, that, and the other. If it's true, whatever, I don't know. That's not what I'm passing judgment on. But he called out the wrong guy. He called out Booker T.
Did
Five-time.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say Goldberg.
Five-time champion. Booker T. Now listen, Booker T, he's not someone that you want to mess with. Booker T. I met Booker T years back before I became a professional wrestler at like a Comic-Con, one of those things. And I shook his hand, and I never felt more emasculated in my life. His hand wrapped, and I have a big hand. His hand wrapped around my hand. And I'm like, this, all I thought that was his hand is enormous. And I was like, the first thing I thought is, if this guy decided he wanted to knock me out and punch me right in the face, it wouldn't take. It's insane. So he came back and he said, brother, it's on site. If you want to do this, we can do this. I know he doesn't want to fight, but he's like, you're going to keep talking about me. And once I see you, this shit's going to go down.
Yeah.
And so for Booker, that shit didn't work for him, brother. That shit ain't that all this shit talk, Twitter finger stuff. That shit ain't gonna work for him. So that was mine. That ain't working for me, brother.
Yeah, the Hulkster's probably not all about that, man. He's like,
no, and probably Hulkster would be saying to him, brother, who made more money? Who'd you ever beat? I beat the best of the best. I made more money than anyone in this business. Who'd you ever beat? What are you talking to me for? Ain't gonna work.
So mine, that's not going to work for me, brother, because I like the spots. So on AEW Dynamite, right, we had that blood and guts match, right? So we had the match at the end. Who opened the match? Do you remember? Who was the first guy in?
I haven't had enough coffee this morning, Nick.
So it was Kenny O. So Kenny Omega.
Okay, workhorse makes sense.
It's a workhorse, but he's also a big time star. But what if they ask Hogan, be like, listen, we know you're the Hulkster. We want you to open this match that's going to go an hour. That's not going to work for me, brother. You're not putting me in, because what's going to happen as soon as I get in the ring? You put the Hulkster out there, you're going to have the arena is going to be shaken. It's going to be shaken. The crowd's going to be exhausted 2 minutes in from the poses, from the catchphrases, from the entrance. No one's even going to care who comes after Hulk, right? No one's going to care who comes after the Immortal One. So basically, you're just throwing this main event straight down the tubes because I am the man. You need to put me in last. You need to put Hulkamania in last so I can get in there, clean house, big boot everyone in the ring, right? I'm not taking any blades to the face. I'm not taking forks into the forehead from Moxley. No, man, I need to pose at the end. So that's not going to work for me, brother. Okay?
No.
Let me get in there. Big boot, drop the leg, we go home, millions of dollars. So that was mine. That's not going to work for me, brother, because listen, you're not putting the Hulkster in first. I mean, when you're talking Royal Rumble, right? Like Hogan wasn't doing no HBK, 95, one of the first in there. No. You're putting him 27, 25. You're putting him there last. You don't want the Hulkster to get blown up. Big boot, go home.
Exactly. He ain't paid by the hour. He knows what the people want to see. They don't need to see him go in an hour. He can go 10 minutes, and he's got major motion pictures to make, right?
That's it. He's got places to be.
No holds barred. He's got he's a ton. So,
what would happen if he gets hurt in those 45 minutes and then that movie, whatever movie he was going to star and go straight down the tubes?
What's the one? What's the one where he's at the theme park, the Magic Mountain? What the heck's that one?
Oh, that's like something at
Thunder Mountain,
Mega Mountain, something like that.
Something like that. But probably but top 10 movie of all time. Right. Say that.
What was he? The Nanny.
Let's
run through them. So it was No Holds Barred, obviously.
No Holds Barred, of course. We got Rocky
Nanny.
3.
Rocky 3. We got he was in Suburban Commando.
Yep. Oh, couldn't forget Suburban Commando.
No, can't forget Suburban Commando. Undertaker was in that as well. He was one of those twin goons.
Muppets in Space, The Ultimate Weapon.
Like what would happen?
Three ninjas, high noon at Mega Mountain.
That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so what would happen to all those franchises if the Hulkster wasn't able to make it because he was Kenny Omega-ing, in a blood and guts match and just leading the thing off?
I mean, also Assault on Devil's Island. Can't forget that one.
Right.
I mean, Hollywood
Thunder in Paradise would have never been a series.
I don't think that Hollywood would have been able to handle this.
No,
I think it would have just shut down like it is today. Like, see, Hulkster.
Yeah, there would have been a strike all those years ago. There would be a strike.
I see the correlation, Nick. I
do. All right. Well, that's not going to work for me, brother of the week. We're going to move into Actually Over. So Actually Over is the segment where we talk about things where, man, they just stuck out just a little bit more. Like we say over all the time, what was actually over? So, Ben, what did you like this week in the world of professional wrestling that was actually over to you?
Yeah, so let's rewind it back to Saturday night, AEW Collision. I actually got two from AEW this week. It's over this week. Tag team wrestling, brother.
Hell
Good
yeah.
old-fashioned, goddamn tag team wrestling. FTR, Bullet Club Gold, going 57 minutes on AEW Collision. Now, listen, as a pro wrestler, the match was incredible. To go 57 minutes to keep people entertained, that takes true pros. All four of those guys in the ring are incredible at this craft. But I just want everyone to know that is 60 minutes in a wrestling ring and I played college basketball, right? And I never played 60 minutes in a game. But, however, in basketball, you get tired. In sports, you get tired, but you get time to sit. You got timeouts. You can get water. You can catch your breath, free throws, whatever it may be. In wrestling, you don't got that. Yeah, you could throw like a rest hold on. Everyone says, "Oh, throw a rest hold on," but no one's really doing that for longer than 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
You're still working too, like your eye contact. You're still
and you got to talk, and you got to talk, and you got to mentally think. So now you're mentally tired. You're physically tired. You're out there every minute. It feels like it might as well be like quadrupled, or it's like every minute feels like how long was I out there? I was only out there for 5 minutes. Damn, you always feel like I thought it was like 15.
Right.
So it's a lot goes into it. A lot of people don't understand. So that is what these guys can do. And I know like hour-long matches, they don't happen often. They happen a little bit more often now than they ever had in the past. But that is incredible. The condition these guys are in, and to have the audience that interested the entire time without any major lulls in the match. So that's over for me. And the other one has to be MJF and Adam Cole.
Yep.
That just the double clothesline thing has me popping every time they talk about it. That's pro wrestling to me.
Yeah, and I think AEW's been what they do really well, at least from is that they build up these like long matches. They know that their audience particularly likes the in-ring product a lot. They really do care about the quality of work. That quality is up to debate. It's subjective, right?
Of course.
As my boy Seth Rollins called out the old star rating gimmick recently about how it's silly. I do feel that way. But again, like people that like the in-ring stuff, that's cool. And AEW knows that, and they do a great job. Tony and them do a great job of building up. Like this is going to be an hour-long match with FTR and Bullet Club Gold, and it's going to be great. And these are some of the best in the world. And you also know getting it, who was in that match. Like there's no secret. Like you're not going into the match being like, hey, are they really going to be able to go that long? Like, yeah, they are. Like they are. And I think it helped that it was a tag team match as well, because we're used to seeing these like Iron Man matches one-on-one, but like getting that type of match that long from a tag team, tag team wrestling is on the rise. I truly do believe that. And I'm going to get into one of my Actually Over, which is a good segue. So I also have an AEW just to kick things off. So now this one's interesting for me particularly because Daniel Garcia was someone that I did give flack to before, because when he was getting that big push with the whole Jericho thing earlier on, I just didn't get into it because they were pushing him as like this, like the same thing they were doing like with like Wheeler Yuta to a degree, right? Whereas like, oh, he's like an assassin, he's a great wrestler, and he is. He can clearly go in the ring, but I was like, where's his character? And I think he even said like, "Hey, sorry, your show got canceled." And we had like a funny back and forth there. But I get it, man. Pete, you're on national TV, and I'm just some dumb mark that's commenting. I get it, but I'm also going to say this: his new gimmick, I'm all about. I think they danced a little bit too much during the match, but like this like party boy gimmick, which I get like the Chris Pontius vibes from like from Jackass. I think it works because look, like he was once positioned as like this assassin killer wrestler, and now what's getting the crowd popping? Just him doing some gyrations to start a match. They didn't even lock up, and the crowd was like vibing it. You know, they went like 7 minutes without even like touching each other, just straight up like gyrating. And the crowd was into it. And then you got the wrestling, which they do really well. So I thought that was actually, I think Daniel Garcia has something here. I almost don't want him to share it so much. So like, that's got to be his thing. Like, you know, he's the guy that does that Alex Wright type, you know, like I'm it's a big time Alex Wright guy. You give me his entrance all day.
Oh yeah.
So that was one. Also, I got now shifting over to WWE. First of all, congrats to Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville on winning the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Well deserved, and hate to say we called it, but we did. Put her on the thumbnail. 1 week later, she's the world champion.
I don't know, Nick. I mean,
guys, you want to get over?
It sounds like
you want to get over. You come see your boy. We'll get you some. We'll get you some gold. But for me, transitioning to WWE, I got like 3 things here. So, Chad Gable and Otis. Those dudes are over. Tag team wrestling, they've been doing this for a bit. Like they've been together for a long time. People have teased them breaking up. They've been in this. Otis has been serious. He shaved. Now they have a little bit of a comedy to them. But if they're not some of the 2 most legit people in the ring, they got legit backgrounds, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Like wrestling backgrounds. And Chad Gable he's just otherworldly. He's got the charisma too. We know Otis has the charisma, and they're just the perfect mix of like big guy, like power and glory almost like that, but with way more charisma. To me, they stole the show. I thought that Vikings rules match, you look at it, you're like, this thing is stupid. Wasn't stupid. No. Great match. Everyone got over it. Even the ladies did amazing. What was your take on that?
I see a little like with Chad Gable, don't you see a little bit of like with the wrestling, obviously. So this isn't really going out on a limb here, but like I see that little Kurt Angle with like the humor, right? Like Kurt Angle was naturally funny. He just had like perfect comedic timing with everything. And a lot of times in pro wrestling, the comedy can be pretty cringy. You know, if it's overdone or like if it just seems like overproduced and forced. With them, it doesn't seem forced. It's goofy. It's a gimmick.
It seems like funny. They're doing that in the back. Like those are the jokes they tell each other in the back.
They're just messing around, and it seems natural with them. It seems like he just said thank you funny one day, and someone was like, "Why don't you use that? Why don't you do that on TV?"
Right. That's a movie reference, though, right? His thank you. It's got to be.
Is it?
I'm pretty confident from a movie. If you know what movie it is, let me know. I'll probably
let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
I don't know what it is. Just like how Vince never saw Scarface and thought Scott Hall came up with Razor Ramon on his own.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I think when comedy's done right in wrestling, it can be incredible. So that's that's so with right now with Gable and Otis and what they're doing, I think it's tremendous.
Yeah, and I think both of those guys could have a single runs down the line. I think what they're doing right now, I think Alpha Academy can be built up to be a more serious. Like eventually they're going to become a more serious act. And I do think that Chad Gable, like Otis too, to a degree, but I think Chad Gable has like big potential. Like because he's not a big guy, but when you got his accolades and he's like a more ripped Bret Hart to a degree. Like he's a smaller version of Angle, but he looks great, $1 million, great luck.
Like him to get the long hair back though.
Yeah.
Long hair back.
And the last thing I have, Titus O'Neil on commentary is over. And it's in the same match. So I really dug this match. But dude, they just throw Titus out there. Just throw him out there once a week. I don't know what he's saying. He's clearly, I mean, if he's prepping, this is some of the strangest prep work I've ever seen, but I can't think he's prepping. He's just sitting down and being Titus. And it's great. Like he's almost doing it as if like if you were trying to make a TikTok and be funny and like do commentary and like get like followers, but he's just not. He's just being himself. And it's just so funny. So for me, Titus O'Neil on commentary, that's actually over, brother.
Oh yeah, no, he's great in his role and what he does. And he's such a big guy. I think he could do some more in the ring. I don't know physically how he's feeling, but like, yeah, he's entertaining as hell.
Yeah,
man.
he's in
I
his
love
mid
Titus.
40s, right? He's like
he's up there. Yeah, played
he's
football at a high level. So I mean, I'm sure the body's beat up a bit, but man, is he entertaining? It's just he's like a magnet. You can't turn away. You can't turn your ears off.
And like he just, you give him a role and he's gonna try and do his best with it. And that I've always I've always like respected that about his work, that anything he's been given, he's never tried to like he's never phoned it in, on anything. Like you give him 5 seconds of screen time, he's gonna give you as much as he possibly
maximizes it.
Yep. All right. So we're going to move into our next segment here. And this is where it's a little bit of our fan fest. It's the voicemails. And we have a reader. We have an email as well. So we're going to jump into that here. All right. Here's our first voicemail up here.
What's up, guys? So I wanted to talk about Seth and the World Heavyweight Championship here. Now, obviously, Seth has done a great job of kind of building up that title. To me, it seems like we're moving towards a Finn winning, possibly at SummerSlam, and beating Seth, and then a Damian cashing to blow up the Judgment Day. Now, that could happen, could not. Do you think that if that's what happens, or if it's going to happen, do you think Seth should just hold it longer to maybe raise that title up even more, since it's new? It's almost like a consolation prize for Roman's titles. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks. Love the show.
Thank you for the call. Yeah. I don't think that Seth is going to hold the title very long. I don't think that's the intention of this title. I think that Seth was the guy that they needed to have it first because you wanted to bring legitimacy to it right away. And Seth, as we've been saying and we've been preaching, Seth Rollins is that dude. If you want your title to be safe with a bona fide star who can go on the talk shows, is really well spoken, right? Like Seth Rollins is that guy. He's a company man. He kills it. But I think what you laid out there, that's the shit I'm into. Mm-hmm. Judgment Day is, I don't care what people say. I understand the bloodline is number one. Judgment Day is a gift to pro wrestling. That faction is so important to what WWE has going on right now because it's not just the bloodline anymore. Judgment Day has 4 people in it that are bona fide stars. That's a real faction. It's not just thrown together so that you can just kill like screen time. They are weaved into everything. Dom Mysterio just won the North American Championship in NXT, which was great. That was awesome. And I think it's very smart that they did that because they need to grow those tentacles that Judgment Day has to touch every piece of WWE right now. I think you're onto something here. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And I think it's the perfect mechanism to get to blow up the Judgment Day. And by blowing up the Judgment Day, I mean Finn's out. And then you have Finn come into a different series. Because if there's one odd man out, I think it's Finn. And guess what? Finn, I think, can be on his own. They could turn Finn back babyface or something like that and have him go back to the demon a little bit. They can do that. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, no, I think after the bloodline and, the bloodline, we're getting to the finale of this whole storyline. We're getting toward the end.
Are we?
We
never know. You never know. There's a lot of Samoans, man.
True. We did. God, yeah, for real. So many of them. But we're, after the bloodline, really the second storyline WWE is Judgment Day. And to think like this faction came together, Edge originally was the head of this faction. And then he was out kind of quickly, and it seemed like, oh boy, is this another like union? Remember the union?
Yeah.
Is this another? Is this the core again?
No,
like it's just going to be a throwaway, crappy faction. But obviously it's not, and they've exceeded all expectations. Dom has nuclear heat. Rhea is loved by men, women, everybody under the sun. Finn's obviously incredible. Damian Priest is on the rise. I love this storyline. Everybody in that faction is interesting. There's nothing that's throwaway. Everything they've done is great. And
I think his Money in the Bank idea is something
that and that's what I say. I think absolutely is that's that's a great prediction. I think it's a great idea. Like you said, Seth doesn't need it. Seth doesn't need the title. I think you put it on a guy like Damian Priest, with his stature, with his ability, his charisma, is able to talk. If they want to go back to Puerto Rico, there you go, Puerto Rican.
Seth is a guy that I'd rather him lose the world title and then go after Gunther. Like, I would rather that happen.
Keep that IC title prestige up. It's like where they've had it. So like, why not? And then the matches they'll have will be incredible. Seth and Gunther.
Oh yeah, they would tear down the house.
We've talked ad nauseum about Judgment Day. We're fans. We get it. I think that's a great idea. Awesome call.
Thank you for that. So, and then we have one more. We have one more email actually. This is from Robert. So he said, I wanted to ask, just falling back in love with wrestling again. Welcome aboard. Happy to have you. We're probably the reason why you fell in love with it again 100%. After our 2 shows. And remember he says he remembers some big title changes on Raw and SmackDown, but with Roman's 1,000 day reign and everything like that, and the new title. He said, do you think the days of having titles change on like the Raws and SmackDown are behind us? Or are we going to start? I feel like AEW will do that. I think they'll have some changes on the shows. They only have 4 major shows a year. They only have 4 pay-per-views. But what do you think about that in terms of just like, do you think we're going to start seeing like the big moments like the Foley and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I've seen this take before about like how people are now getting kind of sick of the long title reigns and what have you. I have a theory about it, is that, remember back in the Attitude Era, there was so many stars, like superstars, right? You had Rock, you had Stone Cold, Triple H, Mankind, Undertaker, you had Kane, you had Big Show, and you can even throw in guys like Chris Jericho. You could throw in guys like Benoit. You can throw in a ton of guys into Kurt Angle. I'm probably missing even guys like Rikishi. You can throw in a ton of guys there that all were stars and all could really hold up the main title without there being like really much of a lull, right? So you could have guys have 90-day reigns and then lose on a Raw. You could have the Mick Foley's win in one of the biggest segments in wrestling history on TV. Now, I think there's been more of a shift, and they're just trying to elevate and get that next superstar to that next level, and they want to keep it on guys like Roman for as long as possible. To
your point, though, I think WWE they harmed themselves a bit there, because with Cena, and Cena recently said it in an interview when he was talking about Roman, how like the formula was just to back him for so long, just to back Cena, and they had one guy, literally was this one guy, and they didn't build a ton of big stars, and I think they're trying to get back to that now, but it's difficult. It's so hard to do that, to have someone of Roman's caliber, right? Like you have Brock, but Roman's there, Roman's going to be on the shows more, right? But who has the allure of a Roman Reigns right now, right? Like these mega stars, right? Like MJF is on the verge of, and he might already be one, like, like a mega star. Like I've been in the room with the guy, and he has an aura about him.
He does.
Like absolutely. When you are around, like, you feel like his mind is working on like, and he's just like, you're getting like him, but you're not getting like everything, because he's just always locked into the game. Like he's someone where like he walks in and you're like, wow, like
he demands respect as soon as he walks in the room.
All of your attention, right? And you don't know, he's unpredictable. You don't know what he's gonna say. You don't know where he's gonna go. He has that. Roman has that. But it's tough to build these big stars.
Cody has it.
Cody absolutely has it. I can't believe I didn't say Cody, but like Cody's the other guy. Like you look at them, you say world champion, like world champion, right? Yeah. And it's just not, they don't grow on trees, man. And they're really difficult to come by. And when you have them, you need to feed them. You need to get them those titles, and they need to mean something and be lengthy at this point if you really want them to mean anything. Absolutely. And then I also have one thing that's kind of related. So, because we're talking about like holding the title, and the title, the person makes the title, everything. So, what is it? I think Raj is his name from Wrestling Inc.
Raj
right?
Giri.
Giri, yeah. So he's been firing takes on Twitter.
Always does.
And I love him because he stokes conversation, and that's what I'm all about. And he doesn't play sides. He has his point of view. He doesn't really take shots. He just kind of says things that gets people talking. And the one that he called out, he actually quote tweeted me. So big ups to that. Helped me get my shit in on the old Twitter. But he talked about how he's like, what's the biggest match pro wrestling could have right now? And I chimed in, and I think this is where he was going, is that it's Rock versus Roman. And people were like, that doesn't make any sense. The Rock is 50. He can't move around the ring. I'm like, who cares about the wrestling, man? What are you talking about? And then the point got brought up that, like, this can happen whenever. It doesn't probably not going to happen at 40, because I think that's Cody's time. You know, the documentary's out. Like, I think that's what we're doing here, right? But say 41, like Rock wants to have one more. Roman doesn't need the title. You know what could close out? Who becomes the tribal chief? That's it.
The story's there.
Right? Like,
It's there.
It's right there. You don't need anything else. And because The Rock is beyond a megastar, right? He's a global, all universe, everything star. But you don't even need a title. Like that,
No.
The Rock versus Roman is the #1 match that pro wrestling could have. Box office, filling out arenas, anything. And guess what? There could be a total of 10 moves in that match. I could probably name them. It's like Superman punch, spear, rock bottom, people's elbow, punch, kick,
Spine buster,
stare down.
stare down.
What else? We need
one
two
snug
more.
one snug lock up, maybe.
One snug lock up to start off the match. And then Rock will have one of his chain wrestling things he does to kick off the match. Like he always does that, like I have the over under, like, and he goes into a bridge trying to pin the guy like 2 minutes in, just to show he's still athletic. So we're gonna close out the show as we always do, with Get Your Shit In. So Ben, plug away, my friend.
Yeah, getting my shit in. Obviously, I'm going to shout out Windy City Professional Wrestling. I am their new World Heavyweight Champion, Windy City Professional Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. In the Chicagoland area, we got a show coming up August 3rd in Woodstock, Illinois. It's at a fair. Also next week, I'll be in right outside Detroit at Combat One Wrestling, and then in Glen Burnie, Maryland, next Sunday, July 30th, at Adrenaline Championship Wrestling. So yeah, that's kind of my shit. Nick, what do you got? Anything?
Great. Yeah, I just want to plug us as well. So we got myself. I am at Nikki the Good on Twitter. So please follow me there. Please follow Ben at Big Trouble BB. That's on Twitter and all platforms, I believe. Also follow our guest today. It's at Cole Radrick, right? The king of Wreck Shit Mountain and the Ratty Daddy. Go follow him. Yep, that's his handle. Then follow us, of course. Follow the show at Wrestling on Twitter and Instagram. Also follow us on TikTok. We're growing, fans. We are growing. On TikTok, we are at Wrestling Barstool. Okay, I think I'm going to be putting up the double clothesline. We had our man Gazillion Beers on the ground at Dynamite, and he got a great shot at the double clothesline, so it's going to be up there soon. Should be up there by the time you're listening to this. And yeah, follow us everywhere. Listen to us everywhere. Check us out here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. And also, just as a reminder, we're on audio now, so make sure your feeds are updated. Make sure you're following us on Spotify, Apple, everything. Leave a review. Make sure it's a good one. We want that algo to be popping us up, brother. But that's pretty much it for this week. Ben, you got anything else for these marks out there?
Folks, let's let your takes stay hot. And remember, don't work yourself into a shoot, you goddamn jabronis.
Later, marks. Okay, Ben, and you know I always have surprises. I'm always working the gimmick, okay? I got the gimmick tables. I'm bringing out more stuff here. So I posed a question about what's the best pose in pro wrestling? What's the pose that gets you going? Obviously, we're fans of the Hulkster brother. That's another brother for our brother counter out there, Tyler. But I asked these guys again. I know you're not a fan of their gear. You hate the sweater vests. But listen, they just love the show. They keep sending stuff in. Here's your bonus for YouTube. It's the Even Stevens.
Thanks, Nick. Even Stevens here, and that is an interesting question, don't you think, Steve? Oh, I do. Which wrestler has the best signature pose?
Well, I mean, other than us, because obviously the Even Stevens having you all right here.
Yeah.
We have them in the palm of our hand, so this came.
And this is objectively the best one. Objectively the best one.
Obviously. But it makes you think, Steve.
Yes, Steve.
How did some of these other famous wrestlers come up with their signature poses?
Huh. Wait, did I put deodorant on today? Well, damn it, what's your pose? It's perfect! Hey Booker, since you lost that shampoo commercial at Edge, have you checked yourself for lice recently? He's got something there. Wait, Booker, there's one on your shoulder. There's one on your shoulder, on your arm, on your stomach, on your leg. They're all over the place. They're all over the place. Ah! So there you have it. That's some of those famous wrestlers coming up with their signature poses, and all of those are true. All of those are true. No dramatization on our end whatsoever. When you're done with the Even Stevens, we don't know drama. What are we, TNT? Back to you, Nick.
RASSLIN, that's wrestling. RASSLIN, that's wrestling. RASSLIN, that's wrestling.